of experience when it comes to public speaking, but I thought this would be a very good opportunity to do so. On July 4th, 1776, 56 American patriots signed a document known to us as the Declaration of Independence. These 56 American patriots showed extreme courage that few men or women ever show today. The founders of this nation paved the way for future generations to live under freedom and to prosper. They understood that the government that governed least was the government that governed best. They recognized that freedom prospered when government was limited. Jefferson stated, "I predict future happiness for Americans if they can prevent the government from wasting the labors of the people under the pretense of taking care of them." The framers of the Declaration of Independence had a vision for our new country. A vision where hard work paid off. A vision where families could bring up their children the way they saw fit. A vision that all men were created equal, that they were endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among them were life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. These men risked everything for the sake of freedom, and as Americans, it's our responsibility to protect our freedoms, to defend our nation, and to protect our way of life every bit as much today as we have for the past 240 years. Over the course of our nation's history, we fought for freedom. In the Revolutionary War, we fought against tyranny from the British. In 1780, the population of Great Britain was approximately 12.6 million, while the population of the 13 colonies had been estimated at only 2.8 million. At the time, the British were known as the strongest military in the world, but we continued on and we overcame the odds. Patrick Henry understood the long odds we faced against the British, and on March 23rd, 1775, Henry said, "They tell us, sir, that we are weak, unable to cope with so formidable an adversary. But when shall we be stronger? Will it be the next week or the next year? Will it be when we are totally disarmed and when a British guard shall be stationed in every house? Shall we gather strength by irresolution and inaction? Shall we acquire the means of effectual resistance by lying supinely on our backs and hugging the delusive phantom of hope, until our enemy shall have bound us hand and foot? Sir, we are not weak if we make proper use of those means which the God of nature hath placed in our power." Henry showed extreme courage and leadership. The war was not easy. The odds were stacked against us, but together we overcame and we helped achieve good for many future generations. One example of American bravery is a story we are all very familiar with. The stage was set on Christmas Day in 1776 at the Delaware River. The weather was gruesome and the river was treacherous. Raging winds combined with snow, sleet, and rain produced nearly impossible conditions. Many of the men even trudged through the snow without shoes. The next morning, General Washington attacked to the south, taking the enemy by surprise. After the dust had settled, the British had surrendered. The news of the American victory spread like a wildfire throughout the colonies, helping to revitalize the spirit of the Revolution. The Continental Army victories shocked Britain and were a turning point in the War for Independence. Throughout our nation's history, it's cases like this that demonstrate what we were fighting for and the passion at what we fought. All along we fought for freedom, we fought for liberty, we fought for our values. Many American soldiers paid the ultimate price. We all owe them an enormous debt of gratitude. They had the courage to fight, not so they could be free, but so that their children and their children's children, as well as many generations to come, could enjoy the fruits of their labor. If anyone wonders why America became the freest, most prosperous nation in the history of the world, it's because here in America, we release the engine of the individual in a way that has never been done before. For years, America has been a place where liberty thrived, where men and women could live their lives without an overbearing government involved. We were a nation where if you worked hard, you could move up. If you had ingenuity, you could improve the lives of so many. America has been home to great inventors like Henry Ford. Ford was born on July 30th, 1863 in rural Michigan. In his early teens, his father gave him a pocket watch. Shortly after, he began dismantling and reassembling timepieces of friends and neighbors. eventually gaining the reputation as a watch repairman. In 1879, Ford left home to work as an apprentice machinist in Detroit. 12 years later, Ford became an engineer with the Edison Illuminating Company. 2 years later, he was promoted to chief engineer. It was at this point that he had enough time and money to devote attention to his personal experiments on gasoline engines. Many thought Ford was crazy and that he would not succeed, and at first it appeared they were right. In 1899, he founded the Detroit Motor Company, but less than 1.5 years later, the company was dissolved due to a lower quality and higher price than what Ford had hoped for. After many failed attempts and years of hard work, on October 1st, 1908, the Model T was introduced. Ford had a vision for everyday families to be able to own their own vehicle. And one of the things he valued the most was selling a reliable product for an affordable price. Many other inventors and entrepreneurs like Ford thrived during this time. Manufacturing skyrocketed and America prospered. Our nation had a system where employees could keep their earnings and businesses could invest in their product and their employees. America flourished because we protected freedom. We were prosperous because we had the courage to say to our enemies that we would not back down and we would always stand up for what was right. On December 7, 1941, Japanese fighter planes, bombers, and torpedoes attacked the American base in the U.S. territory of Hawaii. All 8 American battleships were damaged. 4 were sunk. 188 U.S. aircraft were destroyed. 2,403 Americans lost their lives, and another 1,178 were wounded. Immediately following the attack, the U.S. declared war on Japan, Germany, and Italy. World War II became one of the largest catastrophes in human history. In total, over 60 million people were killed. This is an event in human history, but we must never forget why and for what we fought. During World War II, the United States took a stand against evil. We fought against Nazi and Axis forces. In total, over 400,000 American soldiers lost their lives during the war. The war lasted just over 6 years, with U.S. involvement lasting nearly 4 years. We fought many battles, including the Battle of the Atlantic, the Battle of Sicily, the Battle of Normandy, the Battle of the Bulge, Operation Norwind, and many others. One American soldier named Martin Treptow, a native of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin, was killed while trying to carry a message between battalions under heavy artillery fire. We are told that on his body was found a diary. Under the flyleaf with the heading, "My Pledge," he wrote these words: "America must win this war. Therefore, I will work, I will save, I will sacrifice, I will endure. I will fight cheerfully and do my utmost, as if the issue of the whole struggle depended on me alone." Treptow left his job at a local barber shop in a small Wisconsin town to fight for freedom. Treptow did not die in vain. He fought for the Bill of Rights. He fought to protect our Constitution. He fought to protect our founding principles. And he fought to protect our American way of life. America has endured for 240 years because of those who were willing to pay the ultimate price. No matter the cost, no matter the difficulty. We've always been a shining city on a hill, a land of opportunity, a land that protected our rights. Our people have always believed in their hearts and held dear to our principles. We know that our rights are not granted to us by a distant government in a city run by politicians, but rather our rights were given to us by our Creator and cannot and will not be taken away. Not now, not ever. One of my favorite Benjamin Franklin quotes is about protecting our liberty and not relinquishing it in the name of the government protecting you. He stated, "Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety." Benjamin Franklin had a longing for liberty. He knew that over the course of history, government would always attempt to steal away the people's God-given rights. In America today, this is one of the biggest battles we have to fight. From the First Amendment to the 10th, many in Washington seek to undermine our rights. The American people must stand as one, sending a clear message that our rights are not and will not be up for debate. Today's corrupt politicians and DC lobbyists seek one thing: power. It is written that absolute power corrupts absolutely. Well, I think it's time that you and I and the people of this great nation take the power back. It's time that we bring back local control. It's time that we start making important decisions at the state level rather than the federal. It's time that we once again begin making educational decisions for our children at the local school board level rather than by a bureaucrat in Washington, D.C. The problem we suffer from today is a direct correlation to the people trading our liberty for security. I say not one more day of the people surrendering our precious freedom. I say not one more day of we the people allowing the government to run our lives. Too much blood has been shed in the name of freedom. Too many courageous Americans have given their everything for liberty. We owe it to the founders of this great nation to carry the torch of liberty from one generation to the next. John Adams said, "Posterity, you will never know how much it costs the present generation to preserve your freedom. I hope you will make good use of it. If you do not, I shall repent in heaven that I ever took half the pains to preserve it." Patrick Henry stated, "Is life so dear and peace so sweet as to be purchased at the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take, but as for me, give me liberty or give me death." Ladies and gentlemen, it's our duty to protect our freedoms that have been granted to us by our Creator. Our freedoms that have been fought for, passed down generation by generation. Whether it was the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, to today's present war in the Middle East, time and time again our veterans have fought for freedom. Time and time again our veterans have answered the calling to protect liberty. Shouldn't you and I do the same? Our due diligence in protecting and defending this nation lies on our backs. Past and present U.S. Armed Forces have served and protected this nation for nearly 2.5 centuries. I want to personally thank our veterans for all of your hard work. We all know that you sacrificed so much for this great country. Without you, we wouldn't have the freedoms that we have today. We wouldn't have the ability to enjoy our American way of life. Without our veterans, we wouldn't have the freedoms to raise our families or grow our farms and businesses. We wouldn't have the freedom to live our lives the way we saw fit. America has been the greatest example of freedom that the world has ever seen. America is worth fighting for. Our veterans have sacrificed so much, and we all owe them a huge thank you. We owe it to them to continue fighting to preserve our great nation. I hope you have a very happy and enjoyable Memorial Day. Thank you so much, and may God continue to bless America.